Hi. My question for Coria is this. My name is Carla Holland-Strange. I was wondering how a person in the United States can be denied civil rights. You see, in 2014, my building had burnt, and I was going to get my books that had been in my library. I had a wheelbarrow because I didn't have a car. I lived in a small town called Marlin, Texas. Some boys drove by me yelling obscenities, and you could tell they were drunk. I turned around to go back home, and saw a police officer at the railroad tracks. I stopped him and to tell him that these boys were drunk and going down the road wild. The officer was Officer West, an officer that had stalked me pretty much for the last month. Stalked me in a way that was very inappropriate, asking me to meet him here or meet him there when I had kept refusing. He told me that I needed to get in the car because we had to have a talk. I told him not once, but three times that I had no wants, no warrants, so there was no reason for us to talk. On the third time, he insisted I get in the car. I told him I would if we could stop by my mother's, which was half a block away, so I could let her know where I was. He said, okay. He did a U turn right there at the railroad tracks, drove right past my mother's house, drove to some apartments called the Plantations Apartments. By then, I was terrified. I know what happens when you leave with a police officer and they have every right and you have none. He took me to a second floor apartment where he told me to get on my knees. I did. I didn't feel safe enough not to fight. Not to. Fighting would have got me killed. I did what he told me to do. I turned him in to the police the very next morning. I didn't do it that night because I was still scared and I wanted to make sure of the cop that I talked to. I talked to the only cop that I trusted there because my building had been burnt down by a cop the month prior. After I turned in this cop, I was arrested 8 different times. Yet I had no previous history except for a $4.95 check that I got arrested for 3 times that I'd already paid off. It started off with small things like $6,000 lawn tickets. My grass was too high. There was a car parked that didn't have tags on my land. After they saw I wouldn't back down and I wasn't afraid of them, that I did YouTubes daily, they raided me, which I knew it was coming. I'd even predicted it at the year prior. They were going to get to that point. They held me in the car with my hands behind my back for 4 hours while they went through and took everything I owned. Everything. They came in without a search warrant. They came out and did not take a search and seizure list. I sat in jail on a huge bond, triple the amount, for a month. They charged me with pimping and pandering, yet I was all alone and sleeping. They charged me with possession of a dangerous drug, which was a clearly marked blood thinner that I'd had for surgery a year prior and had never been used. They charged me with possession of a controlled substance under a gram, yet they wouldn't tell me what it was. I finally get out in 30 days. After my ribs had been broken in jail, I'd been put in solitaire. Everything you can imagine had happened to me. I was robbed in jail by the people that were actually the jailers. They had kept my money that my mother had sent me. They had kept a check for my business loan. When I got out, my dogs were dead. I had no possessions, including no clothes. After months and months and months of not being indicted, I moved to Dallas. Got a fresh life. Then a knock came on the door one day, and I was rearrested for bail jumping. I had YouTubes going every day and Facebooks. Everybody knew where I was every single day. I didn't jump on. I was indicted the very last minute of the 18 months. I was indicted with no drugs to be tested. No tests were done on any drugs. Proof that I had no girls working for me and that I wasn't doing anything. And the prescription was on the medication that I had. I was indicted. I was held 3 more months before I went to court, and they gave me 5 years probation. Probation that I did not deserve. They had to drop all charges except for prostitution, which I didn't do, and felony bail jumping. How in the hell do you get bail jumping if you were set up in the first place? They admitted there was no drugs. They admitted everything. After that, I went back to Dallas. I had no place to live there. None. I had no job. They wouldn't let me work anywhere there. They came and got me again for a probation violation. Held me 3 more months. Finally, they reinstated me just in time for my mom to die. I was denied my last week with my mother. My mother would not have died if she hadn't been under that stress for so long. I had no place to go again. Not even a mother there to turn to. No job. And I had to leave again. And I can't, in my heart and soul, pay for a probation that I did not earn. Anybody's can look up my history, my criminal history. It didn't begin until the day that I turned the cop in. And I'm 57 years old. So how in the United States does it get to a place where you have no rights? I cannot get a driver's license. I cannot get an ID. I cannot get a job. I cannot get back to school. I have no life anymore. I live day to day praying that I don't go back to that hellhole to be tortured. Since then, Marlin, Texas has been in the news a lot, so Google it. Google Marlin, Texas, Falls County, sexual misconduct police officer or sheriff. You will find there's a lot of it going on. A lot of us victims that never have a voice. My question is, how can this happen? How can I ever have a life again? I'm broke. I struggle, I survive. And they've made me into what they accused me of just to survive. I'm begging. Someone help me. I can't keep on like this. I can't. I want to be around my grandkids and my kids. I want to be able to have respect again. Thank you for your time.